Peyton is a software engineer at Google, and in this episode of the podcast, I'm going to be talking to him and asking him for advice on how you can too. He does not have a CS degree. He literally worked a job where he was folding clothes and tutoring people, and when he graduated college, he was working in the business kind of role, and still, somehow, he's grown to over 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. He's had articles written about him, and now he's working for one of the top tech companies in the world, Google. He gives really good advice here, and you should be able to take a lot out of it. You enjoy. I'm here with Paden, or also it's not Paden, it's Peyton. So I haven't actually talked to you, so I've never actually I haven't asked you what's your name or anything. It's Paden, right?
Good. Paden, yeah.
Yeah, my bad. I basically until this point in my head, you've always been Paden. Yeah.
I don't
Anyway.
I don't blame you, because like a lot of people say this. Like what I tell them is like, how do you pronounce instead of P, make it a J, right? What is it?
Yeah, Jaden.
Yeah.
Jaden
No
Smith.
one says Jaden. I've never in my life heard Jaden, but like if it's a P, I've heard Paden, but yeah.
Yeah.
Small thing.
Okay.
Small thing.
Yeah. Well, here with you, and we're gonna talk about essentially like at least we talked beforehand about what we're gonna talk about, and essentially it's just like okay, getting into big tech. You were at Bloomberg, now at Google. But before getting into any of that, I essentially just want to know, or like, I'm curious, like, if you could say, okay, like, what's like your backstory? What's your background? For people who don't know who you are. Yeah.
So where to start? I actually have a business degree. So I guess before that, I went to Juilliard for a semester to study classical cello. Then like my family was like, "You're gonna be poor," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably right." So then I went to a business school, and I would study data analytics for the most part. Didn't think much about it. I'd graduate. I'll get a job at Accenture working as a consultant. And this was like in 2019, 2020, like around COVID. So I was just like doing my consulting thing. COVID hit, and then it's like I think around that time it got popular with people like telling their salaries, and like software engineers were like, "Oh, I make 200K," and I'm like, I think I could do that. So I basically became like self-taught during COVID. And then I landed a job at Bloomberg as a software engineer. And then last year, so like Bloomberg was 2021, did that for about 3 years. And then in 2024, I would go to Google as a software engineer.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's okay. And so, at least what I'm thinking, because there was like several things I looked at on your I looked through like some of your posts on LinkedIn, and there were like several things that I saw that I thought were interesting. And like I guess hearing you, one is like one thing you've mentioned like a lot of stuff that's like I think is like really interesting on LinkedIn. So I think it'd be cool to like dive deep into it. And one of the things you mentioned was that you were working for like $7 an hour or something. Like that was like your first like real job.
Yeah.
What was that? Like it seemed like basically my impression, you had actually had another post too, and it was like here's where I started. And like you were like living in New York, you guys like got like evicted apparently or something, and then you had moved to like a different city, and then you had like an uncle who was like just doing crazy stuff or whatever. And
that's a story.
And so I guess like where were you at when you were making like $7 an hour? Like why were you doing that?
Yeah, so I was in Long Island. It's for people that don't know New York, it's imagine there's New York City, and then Long Island is like an hour and a half away by train and car mostly. So I worked during like my last year of high school. I was like, I need money, so I worked at Sears. Honestly, worked there for like 2 weeks before I quit because I'm like, I'm not built for this life. And I was just like a cashier, just like folding clothes, making $17.5 an hour. I got my first check, and I worked, I think like 30 hours. And my first check was like $70 or something. I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. And then I think I literally quit the next day because I'm like, this is modern day slavery. So I basically quit that. And then I was like, all right, college. So actually in college, I would then become a tutor, which I would do basically 20 hours a week while taking like 25 credits. Yeah. So that's where like before getting a full-time job, it was folding clothes at Sears for 2 weeks, and then
Yeah.
tutoring basically for like 3-4 years during college.
And okay, and like what were you tutoring? How'd you even get into that?
So I was just looking for a job, honestly, and I knew I couldn't go back to retail. So I'm like, what other options do I have? And luckily,
Mm-hmm.
my school, Baruch College, it's a community school. If you're familiar with city schools,
Mm-hmm.
they have a tutoring center there, and they were looking for people. And I was like, oh shit, this is like super great. So I
And what'd you
applied.
tutor?
I tutored in stats, math, Excel, which is a weird thing to tutor in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and also Python. But ironically, I did not know Python that well, but they needed someone that could learn Python. So
Okay.
since I knew math, I was just like, okay, I can figure out Python a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. 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 And that was also when you chose like the wrong major too. Like at least the wrong major. It
Yeah,
was, I
yeah.
mean,
You could say the wrong major. So, like, since it was a business school, they didn't have a computer science major. The closest thing
mm-hmm.
was computer information systems, which was still
All right.
like a BBA. Yeah.
All right, but at least I should say like wrong is in like I think you said that your parents said you're not going to make any money with that. You should do something else.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's when that was Juilliard, a music school. So
Oh, that was
that's
music school. Okay.
yeah,
You went to
music
music
switch.
school.
I did. Yeah, and
Okay.
you could say there's money there, but not guaranteed money, and that kind of scared me a
Yeah.
bit. So I'm just like, I need something more practical.
Okay. Okay. So you worked at Sears and then did music school for a
Mhm.
semester, I guess,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then did the business school and then did the tutoring there.
Yeah.
Okay, where it was like math stuff and then like some coding stuff. Okay. And then okay, cool. And then how did you like start, I guess, pivoting from like I don't know how old you are at that point, but like how
Mhm.
did you start pivoting from that to tech or to programming stuff?
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't think about it because it's like, so like I really didn't like think about code. So like the reason why I knew Python a little bit because my major was in data analytics. So like we use R Python to clean up data. So like super basic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So that's what I knew about coding. People would mention leak code. I didn't know what the hell it was. I
Yeah.
saw problems like they would come to me for tutoring for like leak code problems, and I'm just like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I really didn't get into tech really until, or like get into or learn about it until COVID when I
Mm-hmm.
heard about the salaries, because at least for me, jobs are like very money motivated. So
Yeah.
if I could hear I can make like 3 times more with something I know that I'm pretty decent at, I
Mm-hmm.
decided to just like take a crack at it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It sounds like that. I'm trying to like basically I'm trying to like think because
Hmm.
it seems like at least that you've all kind of like had a plan. I don't like I'm getting like the feeling basically that you kind of have had a plan and like you were gonna just like the plan at least just and I might be wrong on this and you can tell me,
Hmm.
but like it seems like that like when you were starting like you had the plan, you had this idea in your head even like in high school or whatever, like that you were gonna be making a lot of money and that when you saw
Yeah.
like when you had like this year's paycheck you were like this isn't like a lot and like this is like definitely not where my life is going like at all. I need to like focus
Yeah.
my attention on something else.
Yeah.
And then did the music school, but then I
Mhm.
guess like your parents still pushed you or whatever. But like I don't know. I like my guess would be that you probably still implicitly understood like I just want to make a lot. And then you
Yeah.
heard people and they're like, hey, like here's all these people making like a ton of money being engineers, and then so you kind of like went with that. I don't know. Is that accurate? Is it? I don't know. Were you like was this something that you actually were thinking like one day like that I'm going to make a lot of money or like I'm going to try to like pursue that, or was it just I don't know?
Yeah. I would say I never had like a 1 year out in the future. Because like during college, my initial thought was I'm gonna go into consulting. Maybe I'll go like become like a project manager, product manager. Like I might go into like a like technical sales type of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't think about like the specific software engineering really until COVID. Because when I got my first job offer for Accenture, that was 77,000. I thought I literally made it.
Yeah.
And even in like my small friend group, like they're like, oh
And
shit,
that, to be clear
that's a lot
too,
of money.
sorry, and to be
Yeah,
clear, that's business at Accenture
yeah, business.
consulting. Okay.
Yeah, business consulting at Accenture. I thought I made it. I made a lot of money, but then it's like COVID hit, so like, and like everyone was online. They're talking about different things, and they start talking about their salary, and I'm just like, you make how much? And like, like you like right out of college, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I got a little jealous, and I think that's also like one. I ended up hating my consulting job. Absolutely hated it. I
Really?
don't recommend consulting to people that know what they want to do, but that's a different story.
Okay.
So that kind of fueled me to figure out like, okay, like what's next. So like I didn't really have a plan to like a grand plan of like, oh, I'm gonna make money per se. It's more just if I see something new and I like it, I kind of just like shift gears and just go at it. That's kind of how I function. So during COVID, when everyone was like breaking into tech, like these boot camps are popping up, like people getting like 10 offers, I was just like, I could probably do this too. So I just self-studied, applied to companies. I interviewed at Bloomberg and Google first in 2021. I was lucky to get an interview. I failed horribly.
Mm-hmm.
Took a year, like restudied, like learned like how to study leak code, the proper way to do it. Came back and then I'll get offers. And that's then I've just been like on this consistent, okay, software engineer, like get a promo. If not get a promo, switch companies. If not switch companies, this and that. Like then it's more linear. But like before then, I was just grabbing at like whatever came up.
Okay. Okay. And well, I guess I'm curious, like what do you dislike about consulting that you like that tech has? Like what is, yeah, what do you
I would say consistency. So like during my time at Accenture, my title was technical consultant. Or sorry, no, technical architect, which you can ask anybody. They like what that means. I still can't tell you. It's just a
right?
word.
Yeah.
Like
What do
consulting
consultants even
buzzwords.
do?
Right.
Yeah.
So to give you an idea of like what I did, I had I would say like two major projects. One, I approved or denied people's loans during COVID. So like that stimulus check or like the $600 that you
Yeah.
got, I was approving or denying with my business degree, like with all this past experience. Like that's
Yeah.
all I was doing. And then if not that, I was they call it on the bench. Well, like when you don't have a project, I was just like applying to projects, getting rejected because you don't know someone or you don't have enough like the exact skill they want. So like consulting, it's really a crapshoot for different types of roles because even if you're like let's say your title is software engineer at some consulting company, that doesn't mean you're going to be working on software engineer things. It just means honestly nothing. It's just like a label that you have, but consulting companies will staff you where they need to staff you because if you're on the bench, if you're not on a project, you're costing them money, so they will put you wherever. So that's why I say people, if you know what you want to do, just go for that role exactly instead of going into consulting where you may not even work on that exact thing.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. 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 Yeah. So it may like my understanding is just basically the projects were really boring, like compared to something in
Yeah.
programming. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And hold on. Let's see here. So going into like the getting rejected,
Mhm.
I feel like for a lot of software engineers, when they get rejected, they like, shut down, like they stop or whatever, like they give up, like they don't have like none of that idea that like they could even do it. You said that you got rejected at Google, you got rejected at
Mhm.
Bloomberg, like I guess within a 1 week span.
Mhm.
What happened there? Like, I don't know, yeah, what happened there? Like, do you get impacted by rejection? Like, were you like, this is never going to happen again?
Yeah.
What was your
So
thought?
for
Was it hard
me,
for you to, yeah, was it hard for you to pull back out of that or something? Yeah.
mhm, it was super. I shouldn't say super hard. It was hard. Like rejection does affect me, and I actually made a LinkedIn post about this to where that hurt slash hit me a lot because that was like my first software engineering interview. Like I was like I could do
What
two
was your
some
first
with
one?
like my first one, right? So I'm like I got this. I practiced two some. I could do like number of islands. It should be easy. And then they asked me like course schedule two or something. And I'm just like, oh shit, I have no idea.
Mm,
Yeah, and then I'll get rejected. But like how I handled it for me is I literally took a week off work and I just played Zelda. Like I literally just like zoned out to just like get over it. And
mhm.
for me, it was easy to get back into it because it's like, okay, I have two options. Either one, go back to consulting and just like do that, which I know I don't like, or two, you got rejected, but you can still try again. So it's like out of the two options, it's just for me, it's always just try again versus stick where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I guess what I'm hearing is that like the like being basically like if you could not crack this or like if you could not pass it, it was like the pain of like, okay, I need to go back to this. And like I really, really don't want to go back to Accenture just because of like the pain of like being there. And then the second aspect of it is if you can like you could always just try again, basically. Is that like
Yeah.
you don't gonna really lose anything, I guess, except for maybe I guess like the pain. Um
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I think that's good. I think that's the mindset that I have too. And I think for a lot of people too. Which is why like I kind of bring it up too, I guess. But like I think that's you have two options. I mean, it's either you stay where you are and continue
Yeah.
like that, or you can pick it back up and try again. Yeah. Okay, and then uh I guess what did you do to actually to stop making those mistakes? Like what changed after the Zelda run?
Um, I for
How far did you
honestly,
get?
I
How
don't.
far did you get in? How far did you get in Zelda?
Oh, I cleared the whole thing. So
Nice.
this was Breath of the Wild. So like I was just farm
Yeah.
Lionels literally all day, just like find where they are on the map and just kill them. That was my stress relief. But
Nice. Nice.
how? So like the weird thing is like today there's a lot of like standardized ways like how you should solve leak code problems, this and that. But like back then there was none. Um, and I think I just failed enough times to realize, oh, they want you to like first communicate, second, like clarify the problem, like, like define it in your own terms, pseudocode,
Mm-hmm.
get your test cases, validate your solution, things like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a very structured way on how to solve an interview problem or a problem like during an interview. And I
Yeah.
think I just realized that, wrote it down, practice problems that way. To the point I literally have a book somewhere, but what I would do a problem, then I would literally write it out on paper saying, okay, problem statement, restate the problem. So like I would write out the coded solution on paper just so like I could actually like learn the foundations. And then I would do that for like 200 problems over the span of like a few months, like six or 8 months. And that was my prep for lead code, honestly. And that made me that put me in a way better spot than what I was doing originally, which was like do 100 problems, doesn't matter the topic, just like do these company tag problems, which is kind of like the worst advice unless you already like really know lead code and the foundations.
Yeah.
But like basically a system now that exists for that same thing is just neat code. And there's other sites as well. So it's like these days, my advice, just standardize the process. Don't focus on how many problems you did. Like someone who does 100 problems in a well-defined way is better than someone who does like 500 random problems.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I agree. I think that like that's a big mistake beginners make.
Yeah.
Shoot. Yeah, that's a big mistake beginners make is like solving company tagged. Hey, what problem is this? Or like looking at the company tag and just solving those, and then they never actually build out any fundamentals. And then when it's outside of that like zone, then they fail.
Crash and
Yeah,
burn.
yeah. Okay. And okay. So you mentioned you failed a lot, but on that you
Yeah.
said you would just kind of learn from trial and error because there just wasn't the type of same education there is now. How often did you fail? Like how many? So you did Bloomberg and Google.
Yeah. Then there's Bloomberg, Google. There was a Twitter one.
Hmm.
There was Twitter I failed. There was Oracle I failed as well. Um, so like I failed a lot of interviews between like 2020 and like halfway through 2021.
Hmm.
And it's like as long as you get the interview, I feel like that's the hard part. Like doing well in the interview, that's mostly up to you. I like to say, like some interviewers are just asses and they might ask you like a really super hard question, but I feel like hopefully most of the time they won't. So like it's in your control for the most part, and I think failing so many times just made me realize like what they're looking for, and then also made me realize when an interviewer was being a dick on purpose, and I was just like, okay, um, it's fine, and just
Yeah.
like move on. So like even being rejected, yet like one, you learn. Two, I don't want to say you become numb to it. You start to understand what you did wrong and how you can improve.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think those were the benefits of me just like failing so many times.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, yeah, you were just kind of like the more you failed, you were kind of like gaining more information, learning more about the mistakes that you were making, and then like not doing the like you basically you were kind of like just getting closer because you're failing,
Yeah.
you were getting closer to like I guess like a good interview or like, that signal, and then also
Mhm.
getting the job offer. And then so I guess after that you got the job offer at Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Okay. Got the job offer at Bloomberg. And I'm curious on like what that was like. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess like however much you want to talk about it, just what was it like working at Bloomberg?
It was great for the
Okay.
first, I'll
You're
say,
smiling. Yeah.
it was great for the first, I'll say 2 years. So I initially joined Bloomberg on one of the trading teams. Had a super great manager. Honestly, like I had a really tough time kind of, I'll say learning like general software engineering practices since like I'm self-taught. So like I had to like I truthfully I never touched GitHub, right? Which is
Yeah.
crazy to say, but like my time, like I knew I could network to get interviews and I knew I could practice enough to pass C code problems. But
Hmm.
in terms of the actual software engineering, like that took me some time to ramp up on. So like the first year and a half, 2 years, which on a trading team was good, learned a lot, but I think I wanted to do something different. So then around 2023, I would switch teams and I and um I got a really toxic manager to the point where like I mentioned this on LinkedIn briefly. I don't know if people caught it. My manager one time told me, "Hey, because I eat at my desk at Bloomberg because
Hmm.
honestly, there's not much going on. So
Hmm.
it's like I would get in at like 9:30, 10, and then I'll
Hmm.
leave like around like 5:30. And my manager would tell me, "Hey, Peyton, if you're like even though you're eating lunch at your desk, you're still spending time not working by like picking up your fork and things like that. So you need to leave later." And when I heard that, I'm just like, "Oh no!" like
Yeah.
I need to leave because that was yeah, yeah. I think that was my sign, and I think that's when I started like prepping lead code again. And then I think 6 months later, 4 or 6 months later, I'll start at Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I guess with the manager, it sounds like I guess you were I don't know, I guess how much were you working like with that new manager? Was
What
he
do you mean? Yeah.
expecting at least I don't know that situation? It feels like he was I guess was expecting a lot. Not even aside from just the food, but like
Yeah.
work output wise, like you have to stay. I don't know. I mean, how often was
Yeah.
he?
So he was a new manager. So he's been in Bloomberg, but he was a new manager for this team, and this team was also new, including
Hmm.
myself. The team was 4 people. Two people were new to Bloomberg. One person has been in Bloomberg for 2 years, and then me joining. So it's like, and it's in a completely different scope or org from what I used to work on. So it's like I would join, let's say January, and he expected me to like finish things like January 15th. And I'm just like, I don't know this system. I haven't worked in this code. I don't know any of this infrastructure.
Yeah.
Um, and like that type of thing. So like he kind of expected output. I think one, because he was getting pressure from higher up since it is a new team. It's like, why does this team exist?
Hmm.
And funny enough, that team would actually be broken up and split into like joined two other teams. So like we didn't
Hmm.
need that team. But yeah, I think it was just like pressure from higher up to like be productive as opposed to anything else. Cause like people on the team, they're working honestly 12, like not 12, like maybe 10-hour days, 10, 11-hour days,
Hmm.
which I am very open about. I try to stick to 9 to 5. Like bother me as much as you want between that time. But like outside of that, unless I'm on call, you probably can't reach me.
Yeah, this was one of your posts on LinkedIn actually. So you said I don't code past 5 p.m. You say I never do that except for leak code.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, I guess like how'd you start that? Like, was that just like something, I don't know, was that something you always like kind of set?
Yeah. It
Was that,
wasn't
or did
something I
that
always
start with,
said.
or was that, did that start after the manager told you like put down that fork?
Yeah. Basically after you turn put down that fork, because I think that's when I realized kind of one, the expectations that people could have, which, you know, it's fine and good, but at the same time, it's if you don't set those boundaries, people might start to first they take like one step, then it turns like 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps. So that's the point where I kind of told myself, all right, I need to kind of check in 9 to 5, gonna work, you know, super hard as I can. But then after that, unless I'm on call, like realistically, you'll hear from me the next day.
Yeah,
And I even told it to my manager. It's like, hey, like I stick to this. I got things to do outside. Are you cool with that? He said, as long as you're doing your work, I don't care. So
nice. Yeah, that's
yeah.
great. Yeah, and I think that's really huge. This is like one thing that I, at least I love Dr. K, and like I mean that's one of the things that seems to be like a theme is that like one, software engineering is kind of like balancing the like I mean for 9 to 5, like whatever. Like I think like the kind of core idea there is that like just the boundaries, and
Mhm.
it's like really that you hear Primogen talk about this too, where if you work really, really hard when you start, like that's going to be the expectation. And then for people who
Yeah.
can't set those boundaries, like that's your expectation now. And people are going to keep asking, asking, asking because they want, you know, that thing that you were giving, which is like just out, like
Yeah.
you're working till
Time.
7 p.m. or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that it can cause a lot of stress. And but it's good to just say, hey, like this time, like, and, or no. Yeah. Um, Cool. Yeah, I think okay. So other thing that wanted was okay. Now, like honestly, well, I guess actually the big one,
Mhm.
I guess, is getting into Google, which we should talk about. I'm honestly,
Yeah.
I'm not too super interested in that though, but just because I feel like it's going to be pretty normal. But one like honestly, I'm more interested in going, I guess, back into like the past.
Mhm.
And I had like some notes, things here where you said you did anesthesiology and then also like doing what your parents wanted. Like I'm more interested in like talking more about that era, but I'm wondering, I don't know, do you have a preference? Like, do you want to talk about how you
I
got into
don't.
Google? Okay.
I mean, I could. It's 30 seconds. Honestly, I
Okay.
again, like you heard my story. I hated my manager at Bloomberg, so I'm just like, what can I do? I had my recruiter's contact from back when I was applying before. I emailed her saying, "Hey, I'm gonna start looking." She's like, "Cool. Let me know what like when I start or like when I'm ready to apply." Emailed her. We set up interviews, and that's it. I got the job. So TLDR, network beforehand. I always tell people this: if you fail an interview, keep in contact with the recruiter. Make a list, keep in contact, send like holiday emails saying, hey, hope your year went well, like happy new year. It doesn't matter, just send something. So like when you do look for a job, you have an instant connection inside the company. That's really it.
Okay. And could you expand more on like what you're doing with networking aside from like the little birthday email, not birthday, but you know, holidays
Yeah.
and all that?
It's honestly, so like I haven't really networked externally since I started at Bloomberg because I haven't needed to.
Yeah.
Because it's like once you get a software engineering job, people just like reach out to you. But like before that, it was being very proactive. So like make your like top 10 list of companies that you want to work for, connect with 10 people from each of those, and then make candid conversations. Don't connect and ask for a referral, which is disgusting. People have opinions about that. I
Mhm.
wouldn't recommend it. Build a connection, like ask how they're doing, like look at what they posted
Wait.
previously.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You said people have opinions about that?
Yeah, so I actually I made a post about this too, where it's just like, hey, don't connect with someone and then immediately ask for a referral. One comment was even like, it's your fault for accepting because this is what you should expect from people. And I'm just like, oh shit, like that's crazy. And so people have opinions about that, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the opinion is that I guess, if someone does it, like you should be expecting that. Like, why are you complaining about like
Yeah.
that's crazy? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting people on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Okay. And wait, how like when did you start posting on LinkedIn? I mean, I imagine that helps with networking.
Oh yeah, for sure. So like I've been posting since I would say I'm made my account 5 years ago, I think. Like I took a look at it the other day. And
5 years ago.
yeah, 5 years ago. But like I'll be like that typical college student, be like, "Hi, I'm a rising sophomore. Please connect with me." And I'll just send that to like 100 people.
Okay.
Um, and I think I only started posting a little bit. I'll make like so my timeline for LinkedIn. It's like for the in 2020, I'll make probably like 5 posts during the year. 2021, I'll make like 10. 2022, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like go hard on LinkedIn. I'll make like 6 posts like that year. 2023, I told myself the same thing. I'm going to go hard on LinkedIn. I've made like 15, 20 posts. 2024, same thing. And it's like, to just like wrap it up, it's like between 2019, I think I made my account 2019, 2020, and 2025 of April of this year.
Yeah.
During that time, I got 8,000 connections, 8 or 9,000
Yeah.
connections slash followers. But it's like I took PTO last month. Halfway through April, I was like, I'm actually gonna go serious on LinkedIn. I'm gonna post every day and see what happens. So between like halfway through April, like April 15th to today, I went from 8K to I think I'm approaching 20K followers. So it's
Yeah.
like that was me more saying I want to make a safety net in case I want to do something and see where it goes, like
Yeah.
between like that first 4 or 5 years. But then last month I'm just like, okay, like let me really try and see what's out there.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, because I mentioned that too because you said like, oh, once you get a software engineering job, like the connections just kind of came. Like the referrals or whatever and
Yeah.
things like that kind of came. And I think that's surprising because I think a lot of software engineers don't have that actually. Like
Oh,
a lot of them, I mean, I have friends who are software engineers, they have like 50 connections and they don't post on LinkedIn and they don't
yeah.
like they go home, they play video games or whatever, I don't know, but
Yeah.
so
I mean, my blunt answer is that's their fault because there's this LinkedIn is cringe from like a lot of people in tech or like tech adjacent.
mhm,
And I get it. A lot of people in tech networking naturally lean more introvert. So like naturally things like networking requiring communication, people kind of shy away from. But I
mhm,
feel like this newer generation of software engineers, Gen Z, basically, like they're super out there. So they're really like going like full in, like deep in on LinkedIn, which is like super cool to see. But also kind of scary because like y'all are wild. But
nice. Oh wait, hold on. What do
yeah,
you mean by that? What do you mean they're wild?
they post on LinkedIn like it's Twitter, and I appreciate it. But at the same time, it's just like I'll be scrolling and I'm just like, what are they talking about? Like I'm talking about like sex jokes and things like that.
Oh
Um,
really?
yeah, so it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah, and Gen Z's crazy. I saw a guy, or it was the guy there was a guy, he coded up like a cheating software and he posted that on LinkedIn.
Ray, yeah,
All employers can see
that's a
it.
whole other topic, which yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
To keep it, I think initially I love it. Like call out the system, call out leak code, call out big tech is doing it wrong. Um, but I think and like I think what he's doing with Cluely now, I think it's what it's called. It's super cool. But I think the narrative of basically fuck the system, cheating is cool. I feel like that could be repurposed into just like we're making something that can help everyone in some way. Like we can help, like if you're have some impairment or disability, like Cluely could help you versus cheat on everything, which it's just a simple switch in narrative. But like, so that's why I'm like, I understand where he's coming from because I would feel the same way because I'm like I'm not calling him petty, but like I'm very petty. So like if a school kicked me out for cheating, I'm gonna yell for a bit. But
Yeah.
I think if he were to switch the narrative, he would get much more support than he is getting now. Which he's still getting great support. So
Yeah.
props to him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think I think the Gen Z I've seen also like just weird like jokes. I mean, it's like Gen Z humor though. I don't really understand it. I don't know, but there was actually one person who I did talk to on the podcast, Sierra. That's another one. Gotta get those names. But
Sierra Cade, I think.
yep, that was her.
Okay.
Yeah. I reached out to her and she did an interview, so that was cool. But I mean, she's really professional, and I think she's gonna do well. But that's cool. But I was gonna say, okay, and so I think that's really big though for the networking is like posting on LinkedIn, even though it's cringe. I like I mean I don't even think it's cringe. Like it's kind of weird though.
It's
Like it
not.
has the
It's
connotation of cringe,
yeah.
but yeah, but like in reality, I mean, there's one person in my channel who was like, hey, like this is Peyton. Like this guy's really cool. Like he literally said
Oh,
that on like the live, like
oh shit. Hi.
maybe like 30 minutes ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but like that's kind of like the impact of like when you're like posting and things that actually are helpful to somebody,
Yeah.
because yeah, I think people kind of forget that they were also like had like a ton of questions, but like unlike you, like you already went through all the trial and error, and when like at a time when nobody was posting about it, and like then you could just share that to other people and then they just get
Yeah.
the benefit of it. So yeah, I think it's huge. I wish more people were doing it. Anyways, okay, so you've got a ton of essentially, I guess my understanding is that you just have a lot of referrals, and then that also helped you with the Google thing. Okay, and so like basically, I guess the strategy is just um, don't random connect, and then do email like maybe holidays for people, and that'll probably help them, I guess, be more top of mind. And then when you do have that time where you hate your job or you want to switch or you know really want some kind of like kind of opportunity, you can make the ask
Yeah.
and like just ask them.
Yeah. Like it's so simple, and it's simple and it's easy to do. It's very effective, but I feel like a lot of people don't make the effort and they wait to like until it's too late. Like okay, it's never too late, but they wait until like they need a referral yesterday. So it's like again, just like get on LinkedIn, build out your network, even if it's just sending random connection requests, just do something, because LinkedIn, it's literally a place that works for you like while you're sleeping. So like it's an online resume, it's like an online personal branding type of thing to where it's just like if you're on there, people will realize it more than you think. So like even me, like I haven't like it's kind of like I'm posting out to the universe. Like I get comments, but like I'm not receptive of like what everyone thinks. Like in the past month, I've had like 9 million impressions. Like I don't like that doesn't translate to me because like I don't see its effect. But like someone in your chat saying that, it's like, oh shit, like people actually read this stuff. So even though you're not getting a response, just know like there's still people out there reading it. There's still people out there connecting to it. There's still, like, and like you also get that benefit of like when you do might need something, like someone's more likely to help you.
Yeah. And okay. And one thing I struggle with when doing LinkedIn
Hmm.
is like people say stupid stuff and I get angry and I just want to like tell them that they're stupid. But LinkedIn does the thing where if you comment on it, it tells all of your people that you commented on it. And then so I have to like dial it back and say it in like a really nice way or just not respond at all. But like I think commenting is like really big for LinkedIn. I think it's very important.
Yeah, I think Alex Hormozy, if I'm not butchering his name, said it best for it's just like be positive, right?
Yeah.
Because at like the one thing about LinkedIn, it's your personal, it's you. Like people, okay, so like uh basically before I started this whole LinkedIn thing, I got into like LinkedIn beef with someone who has like
Yeah.
150K followers. Um I said something kind of mean and nasty. She took a screenshot and made a post about it. I'm blocked by her and like I feel like several other people. So it's like that's always gonna have like a mark against my name. You know, like in hindsight, I shouldn't have done it, but like I still did it. And it's just like for me in the future, so like, hey, like I don't need to make those comments, especially if I'm trying to like build something out. It's just not worth it because it's like you're making a comment for what reason? So like I always like to say, if it's not helping someone, don't say it. If you know it could be taken the wrong way, try and reword it or don't say it. Because like at the end of the day, just like try and help people because there's a lot of toxic people or like misinformation out there. So like one thing I do recommend, if someone is like lying or doing like heavy misinformation, call them out. I'll always do that. But like if it's just like someone slightly misinterpreting something and they're still kind of right, I just leave it. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah, maybe I'll start commenting again. I really should. I need to make a lot more content, especially on LinkedIn. What I'm thinking about doing, I think maybe next weekend or maybe later this week, I'm gonna try to fine tune a LLM model with my writing, and I'm not gonna like automate the posts, but what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to have like a topic, basically just has like a database of my knowledge, and then when I prompt it, it can write generally like how I do, and then I can go ahead and edit it, and then like basically kind of crank out writing like that. And then I have like all my YouTube transcripts, like I have all that stuff, and then I think that'll be cool and it maybe help a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely like try it. Like the nice thing about LinkedIn is like you will know immediately whether or not a post does well or not. Cause like I'll make a post, like I have 20K followers. I'll make a post, it gets 10 likes in 20 hours. I make another post, it gets like 30 likes in 2 hours or something. So it's like the algorithm will tell you whether or not people are resonating with it. So it's easy to like iterate on. So like no worries there. Just try it out, see what happens, and just reiterate.
Yeah. Okay. And well, we're almost at the hour mark. Another thing there's like several things, but I'm trying to think of like which one.
Go for it.
What do you think of like I guess like what advice would you have for someone who's trying to get into Google? What advice would you have for someone who's trying to get into Google? But let's say like they're like a junior engineer in this job market.
So like I do coaching calls and and I was talking to someone. It's like coaching calls are basically like therapy sessions. My first question is, why do you want to get into Google? Because a lot of times your reason isn't valid. Like it's valid, but it's not. It's not a passion. It's just more just like, oh, it's a dream company. Why is it a dream? Because people say it's cool. Because I see this, I see that. So if it's just for branding, I'll say like think about your actual reasons. But general advice for like getting into Google, I would say build your network early and practice lead code like it's your life. Because like the thing about getting into Google, it's not different than getting into like Meta, Amazon, Databricks, Stripe, like any of these companies. Like it's literally just a company, and it's become more standardized as the years come along. Because like we're not different than anyone else. It's just you need to get past the resume screen and things that can help you. It's one, networking. It's two, getting a good referral. That's something I could say is not all referrals at Google are equal. So take that how you want. A random referral at Google, it's not going to do you well. But a referral from someone that actually knows you and likes you will do you very well. Again, take that how you want. So again, networking, making sure your resume is at least 80% there, and just practice lead code so when you do get the interview, you don't bomb it.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, I would agree. Cool. And well, basically that's it. I still do want to, if you have time, I'm still curious on talking about just
I got
more on
time.
like your backstory. Okay, cool.
Mm.
Yeah. So, well, one thing I thought was interesting. Okay, so you did anesthesiology,
Mhm.
and I guess at least my understanding from like I guess that post was that like you thought it was going to make money or was like relate to your parents. I also have here that someone
Yeah.
told you that you shouldn't do CS.
Yeah.
What was that like? Or
So that was in I'll start from the not CS because I was in high school. I took a Visual Basic course, and when I tell you I could not figure out how to make something jump for the life of me, because we had to like make like a mini game, and I
Hmm.
couldn't figure out this code because Visual Basic is like this hieroglyphics knowledge. No offense to people, but I didn't like it. I felt like I was pretty dumb. I asked the teacher, it's like, hey, like I really didn't get this course. Do you like what do you think about me like like pursuing CS? Because it's like I'm a high school sophomore senior, so like it's the time to apply, pick your major. And she said, maybe not computer science. Um, she thinks I'm better at well, she actually didn't say like what I'm better at. She said she wouldn't recommend computer science. And I was just like, okay,
Hmm.
cool. And then I just left the class. So that's it. That's
Yeah.
pretty short.
Well, yeah. Well, hold on. So, like, did you carry that with you, or do you think at all? Like, do you think that did that influence whether or not you would study computer science in college? Did
Yeah. Honestly, no. So like something about me, I'm pretty petty and stubborn. So like when someone tells me I can't do something, I try and do it. So
oh, okay.
her telling me that, it's just like, okay, I'm actually gonna like I I didn't think about it, but if anything, it was in the back of my mind, be like, let me actually see if I could do it versus, oh no, someone told me I can't do computer science type of thing.
Yeah. 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 That's interesting because I think for a lot of people, they would probably just stop. Like that,
Mhm.
at least that would be something that goes against, not forward. And I mean, obviously, even more interesting too, because you are one of the like. I mean, I'll say this: like, you're one of the best programmers. I mean, that's probably debatable. Like, how can you measure programming ability? But
Right.
being at Google, um, I think you're gonna have a lot of access to a lot of really good engineers, a lot of really good feedback that'll just make you
Yeah.
good, better than the average. So, yeah. So it's interesting. Anyways, all to say is that like it's interesting. Because that's probably like a really good trait is if somebody tells you something, being able to continue pushing
Mhm.
and then you prove them wrong. Yeah. Not sure. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Do you think that's true or is that?
I'll say it has its pros and cons. Pros, okay, you might achieve X goal. Cons, it mentally it may not be the best. Like you can lead to just like
Yeah.
burnout and things like that, where it's
Yeah.
like you're fighting against it not for your own interest, but because of honestly someone else's. So it's like for me, like yes, I took it, but like okay, I'm gonna try and prove you wrong, but it's like I don't again, like I don't think about that. I only really started trying to get into software engineering once I hated my job, and I'm like, okay, like let me try and do something else. So it's more in the sense of if someone tells me something, it doesn't really affect me negatively. It more motivates me to try and be better versus kind of pushes me away from like what they were talking about in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. 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 Because I don't think that's not something that a lot of people have. And okay. And then doing anesthesiology.
Mhm. Yeah, you're right. It was just money. It's just like I was looking up like what med school careers there are because basically I lived in Long Island, so like one of the schools that were close to me was Stony Brook University, one of the best one of the best public medical schools in New York, and I think the country. But
Mhm.
I was just like, oh, like what can I do that makes money? And it's like anesthesiology. They make like 200K, and I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot of money. So I applied and I did that, and that was yeah, yeah, not quickly realized not for me. So like for me, it's really just about trying things, and I guess you could say money was a motivator, but it wasn't a motivator enough for me to stick with something longer than I wanted to or didn't want to.
Mm, yeah, it's interesting. Interesting, interesting. Okay. Like, well, I guess like one thing I'm thinking
Mhm.
is I'm gonna think about how to say this. Basically, one thing I'm seeing is no, 'cause I think it's gonna it'll be too meta. But like basically, what I'll just try to say it. But basically, is that like what I'm seeing is that okay, you tried the Visual Basic, and then like that
Mhm.
didn't work out, and then you went to college to do music, and then like that
Mhm.
didn't work out.
Mhm.
And it's not even that it didn't work out; it's just like you realized that like for music specifically, it was that you realized that this isn't what you want to do, and it's also not going to further your goal. And then it was like
Yeah.
the anesthesiology, and then like you don't really like it, and that's not really like something you want to do. Well, it has the money aspect, but it's just not what you want to do. And then the business into like the consulting.
Yeah.
Um, basically, like I'm seeing like I guess you jumping, which also like to be I guess I don't know, I'm interested like do you think you do that? But I'm curious because I'm just curious like do you think you do that? But like for me, for example, like I'll say this for myself, I like do that a ton, and I've also done that like all my life. Like I love learning, I love like doing different types of things. Like this is literally why I quit my job
Yeah.
to go live in Colombia, and it's why like I speak Spanish because I studied abroad when I was in college. It's the same reason why I did streaming too, because like I just like love like just learning new types of things. And like I mean I could just keep naming like just stuff and stuff like dancing salsa that I love
Yeah.
doing, or playing video games. But like, and I know this too specifically, I'll say, is that like I struggle a lot with like just sticking with something
Yeah.
because I want to jump a lot. Yeah. And
Mm.
so I'm hoping that one thing I'm hoping is that I'm able to like just stick with one thing, especially specifically with YouTube, and then also doing all my like I mean anyways, this is the where we get into the meta stuff too. But anyways,
Yeah.
anyways, um
I got you.
yeah. So I'm curious. Yeah. So I'm curious. Do you notice that in yourself, or like, do you think that's like not really like a thing, or is it like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's just definitely a thing. For me as well, like I've always been the person to just like try something if I like it or not, drop it. So like me working at Sears, I literally worked there 2 weeks and I was just like, I'm good. I would like in high school, I'll like try out lacrosse, I'll try out football, try all these different things, tried it for like a week or a month, got bored of it, did something else. And even now it's like I'm working as a software engineer, but I'm thinking like, would I like being a technical program manager more? It's like I'm always looking for something that's more interesting. And um you could say it's a like it does. I don't say it gets tiring. It's more just like I always feel like there's not enough time in the day. And I also want to give certain time. I want to give things in my life the right amount of time. So like I want to give like work the right amount of time. Like if you're in a relationship, you want to give that the right amount of time. And like also like for yourself, it's like for me, it's like okay, recently it's content, giving content the right amount of time. And it's like I still want to go to the gym because I love CrossFit. I give that the right amount of time. So it's like I jump around a lot, but it's not because like I'm chasing something. It's more because it's like I saw this and I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's like
Yeah.
before I went to Hong Kong, I was learning Mandarin, even though they speak Cantonese, because it's like there's a lot of resources for Mandarin. So I was learning Mandarin to then help me learn Cantonese. And it's like things like that. Like there's
Yeah.
always, it's just, yeah, my my
Yeah.
brain's just busy, and
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I think there's like a lot of benefits. Like I don't think there's like one way, at least, you know, kind of I think there's like I have people who are at Citibank
Mhm.
and they're probably just gonna stay there. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to do that. One, because City is also just extremely, extremely boring. But then two, like, you know, staying in a place for like 10 years, like I just can't like I don't think I can do that. But anyways, all this say is that I think there's like pros and cons. And I think it uh the problem with switching is that you don't end up committing to something. And so like you kind of
Yeah.
like end up resetting your progress every time. But like the problem with
Yeah.
like only sitting in one spot is that like you're not actually learning like
Yeah.
as much as you could be. Like, yeah. Okay. So I was just curious on that. Other thing, okay, we'll probably just try to do this maybe rapid fire. I don't know, but
Good.
you said your okay. One, you said your uncle like was like turning off power
Yeah.
in one of your posts. I guess like one thing. So like was I guess like what was like your background, like not your background, but like your parents' background, like financially, like were you guys like
Yeah.
no class or like
Oh no. So my TLDR, I was born in Brooklyn. We moved to Long Island when I was like 5 or 6. Parents got divorced. I have two older sisters. And it's like parents got divorced when I was like 9. One of my sisters would go live with my dad when I was like 10. The other sister would go live with my dad when I was like 13. So it was just me and my mom. And then it's like, yeah, I'll be in middle school and high school, but then it's like my last year of high school, we would get evicted. Like even before that, I during my high school, I moved like 6 times. So between just like my friends of my mom's in different places, until we landed in Brooklyn with my uncle, which I think was her last resort because she did not like him, but it's like she had no choice, and she didn't like him for obvious reasons, as you've read out one of them. So like we moved to Brooklyn during my senior year of college. So like I would literally have to and my mom still worked in Long Island. So I would get up at like 5 a.m. to then go to her to work, basically drive about like an hour and a half to Long Island. She'll drop me off at school. And then it's like after school, I'll have to like wait like 2 hours till she's off of work, then drive all the way back to Brooklyn and like do that for like a whole year. And
Mm-hmm.
it was crazy. But yeah, so like my mom, she made like 40, I think around 47K. So like she was
Yeah.
too rich for me to get like real proper financial aid, but too poor to like also help me pay for stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
me throughout college, everything was on a credit card until I got that tutoring job. And I worked 20 hours a week so I could afford one to pay my uncle rent, since he was charging me like $700 for rent. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and just to like live and not just like sit at home and eat bread, basically.
Yeah. That's crazy in New York City, 47K
Yeah.
is, yeah, okay. Okay, okay. Yeah, I was curious on that. Okay. And there was other things too. You mentioned being in a bad relationship in COVID
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that it was like not worth it for the mental health.
Yes. Yeah. I think that also kind of bolstered me saying, yeah, after 9 to 5, I'm probably not going to be coding because, yeah, it was during COVID. Things were scary. I was working at a center at the time. So it's like I hated my job. The world was going through like a doom spiral. So I'm like, and we moved to, so what happened was they got a job in California, and I was just like, oh, I'll help you move in. And this was like January of 2020. Yeah, after 2020. So like
Mhm.
right before COVID started.
Mhm.
And while we were there, we heard cases of like, oh, like flu popping up, but like it's
Yeah.
deadly, and we're just like, okay, I guess I'll stay here a bit. It like
Yeah.
this should die down in like 1 or 2 months. And it ended up being 2 years. So yeah, and like it was super toxic to the point where like a knife would get pulled on me. It's like things
Really?
like that.
That's crazy.
It was not the greatest time. It's like we got a cat because I'm like the cat will help them calm down, and they would torture the cat. Like they would cut off the whiskers, like put it in a cage, put it in a shower, then put it outside. Like this
That's
person was
crazy.
mentally not there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wait, why?
that
Why did
was
they do that?
you're asking the wrong person. No, like
Okay.
I would know the most, but like just had issues that you could only help so much. And like I don't know if it was a lockdown thing where it's like we're always inside, or some other thing. If
Yeah.
like work was stressful, I don't know. Like a combination. They were on H1B, and like their parents were in China, so like I don't know if like that was also a stressor. But basically
Yeah.
it was just that was a result of it, and that was enough for me to be like, yeah, I probably shouldn't be here. But at the same time, I hate my job. There's this world pandemic going on. I kind of feel stuck because if I do go back to New York, it's like I might get COVID. What if I lose my job? Things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was rough.
Mm. Yeah, no, I mean that sounds terrible. Honestly, that sounds insane. I can't imagine. I I've watched what was probably I've watched I was gonna say I watched some TikToks. No, I watched a guy
Mhm.
who he's a psychologist and he just like watches like 90 Day Fiance and he just
Oh,
like
that sounds fun. Yeah.
analyzes them like for psychology stuff. And in 90 Day Fiance, it's from TLC. Like everybody there is like crazy, and the
Mhm.
relationship. I mean, there was one girl, she like keyed someone's car, like keyed her boyfriend's car for not really, he didn't do anything really. Like he just like, I think he like didn't buy her something, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna key your car. And she also hit him too. And
Yeah.
but like it was interesting seeing it from the psychologist perspective, because when you have someone who's like doing that, like they either probably were abused as like a child, or they uh, uh, basically like they have like there's something in their brain where they're like, I'm under attack and like I need to do this, or else like everything's gonna crash or whatever. But anyways, all that to say is that it's interesting seeing how uh just I'm just kind of curious just on like the relationship and how that plays out. But it's also like really important too to say, because if you're with somebody and they're absolutely crazy, like that has a drastic effect on your own life and everything, that like your own success, your perception of yourself, and that it just reverberates out. So I guess maybe if someone's listening and they're in a bad relationship or something like that, maybe they can get out of it. I don't know, maybe not.
I mean, I feel like that's still good to throw out there, because it's like when you're in it, you're kind of numb to the situation. So check-ins kind of like that, like what you just said, help. Yeah, because when like being in it, you always feel like you're walking on eggshells. Like any minor inconvenience could be a huge trigger.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that too. Like that. Sorry to cut you off, but like, like one, there's like a book, but on that called the same title, actually, Walking on Eggshells. And then two is that's actually very, very common. I think like there's a lot of people who are just like mentally unwell, and like you're basically even in like a job situation or like whatever, but like relationships specifically, like you can feel like, okay, you're walking on eggshells. And I actually kind of heard that too when you said like, I'm gonna buy a cat because maybe that's gonna like fix this, right? Which is like, I have control over this. Like I can probably do something. There's probably something I'm not doing, but yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's like and that was a completely bad move. And I took that cat back to the shelter, and I was like, if this person comes, do not give it back, because it's like I'm trying to find things to just like add some sort of like love or conditioning or something. Because like if I can do it, maybe this could do it. But yeah, it's like it was crazy. Like anything, like whenever we fought, if I bought them anything, that would be the first thing they would. When I say smash, either they would get a hammer and literally smash or throw it against the wall or something. So it's like, yeah, if anyone's out there and like you're in these types of relationships, like put your health first. Because like for me, I didn't notice it until I literally started having a bald spot. Like literally middle of my head, I had a bald spot, and I'm just like, oh, I'm that stressed. So it's like sometimes your body will tell you before you realize it. So just like listen to your body basically, because it's not gonna lie.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, that's it. That is it. And I don't think anybody had any questions. So
cool.
Cool. I'm gonna shut down the stream. Did you have anything you want to plug? Anything in the
honestly, my LinkedIn's fine. I'm trying to grow my Instagram and everything else, but like just my LinkedIn is good.
All right, cool. I'll try to like put it visually onto the screen, and I'll put it in the description. So cool. All right, I'm going to I'll just end the stream, I think. And
no, but thanks for this. This was super fun. I'm trying to do more of these, so we'll see.